Greetings, my name is Joshua Free. I am here tonight sharing with you information regarding our Mardukite core of materials. This is materials that has driven our organization for now more than a decade and is now available in 10th Anniversary Collector's Edition hardcovers. The first volume is Necronomicon, the Anunnaki Bible. This is a prestigious hardcover 10th Anniversary Collector's Edition. This book collects the oldest written materials on the planet, the oldest writings, completely translated into English, of course, but these are based on cuneiform tablets that are available in museums and private collections all over the globe, are collected together to form essentially a Bible of the oldest materials on the planet. And if you so choose, these materials are also available without the term Necronomicon in the title. It is available in paperback form as the Complete Anunnaki Bible, a source book of esoteric archaeology. And then also available is a abridged pocket edition, available as a Necronomicon, the Anunnaki Bible pocket edition. And as you can see in relation to the others, it is somewhat smaller, but is portable, and it contains the most critical aspects of the Year One materials in a small portable edition. Some of the more recent releases from the Joshua Free Publishing imprint, the publishing company that now represents the material of the Mardukite Truth Seeker Press, Necronomicon, the Anunnaki Grimoire, a manual of practical Babylonian magic, is now available as a 10th Anniversary Collector's Edition hardcover. This material has been available previously in spellbook editions, but has never been collected in this particular stylings. It is also available in an abridged paperback edition, Necronomicon, the Anunnaki Spellbook, Pocket Edition. And as you can tell, it is of course an abridged, more portable pocket edition of our Grimoire. The spellbook and the Grimoire contain very similar information. However, the spellbook is meant to be more concise, more practical, accessible aspects of the tradition that you might carry along with you for practical use. And you can see here that these two editions actually complement each other quite well in their presentation, their portability, so you can pretty much contain or carry with you a portable version of our abridged library suitable for your needs. And what the Necronomicon Anunnaki Spellbook actually contains is the material from two other volumes recently released in 10th Anniversary Hardcover Edition, the first being the Complete Book of Marduk by Nabu, and the other the McClue Ritual book. And these are available in 10th Anniversary Collector's Edition as well. The material that we'll be dealing with as we continue our current series in basically pertaining to the Anunnaki gods, the Anunnaki pantheon that appears in Sumerian religion, Babylonian magic, Babylonian traditions, Mesopotamian traditions, pretty much the entire ancient Near East. It can be found in the anthology Gates of the Necronomicon, the secret Anunnaki tradition of Babylon, which coincides with the other materials that I've shown you here. And the portion that we'll be dealing with today is also available in paperback form as the Sumerian Legacy, a guide to esoteric archaeology. Literature from the Sumerian tradition, and by this we mean cuneiform tablets unearthed during the last century, they reveal that the Anunnaki system is the original, the first foremost archetypal Olympian pantheon of deities, basically copied and pasted onto diverse cultures for thousands of years. The Anunnaki were originally assigned to 12 positions in the cosmos, which formed a celestial sphere around the Earth. And this later yielded our lore of the zodiac, and then they were also attributed to 12 bodies of the local solar system, 10 planets, plus the sun and moon. So prior to the Ammonite fascination with the local sun, which is best observed among the Egyptians and other solar cults, it was this collective star system or pantheon that the ancients deemed the rulers of fate and keepers of the sacred cycles on Earth, the cosmic order of the organized universe. Now, these most ancient ones from Sumerian prehistory, Abzu, the Abyss, and Tiamat, the first dragon, and the first cause, they're given only brief mention in cuneiform literature, but they're viewed as more abstract or metaphysical properties of creation. They're not accessibly appropriate as traditional deities. But what we've shown throughout our collective lore and the Mardukite literature, we focus on primordial essence or all source, which is manifest behind all of creation. The Sumerians also viewed some active properties that they materialized or personified as the Allfather or Anu, a figurehead for their hierarchy or pantheon. These traits or energetic currents of primordial forces are assimilated by successfully younger gods as they are elevated to higher roles in the tradition with successive generations. And this genealogy given in the Enuma Elish, which is the epic of creation in Babylon, it depicts Ansar and Kishar as the father and mothers of An and Anu in the later texts, and who's also credited as the father of the Agigi, which is a legion of celestial spirits who watch and see, later understood as the Watchers, or the Nephilim and other scriptures and texts, but also the Anunnaki, or the Anunnaki, which was also transliterated as the Anunnaki by early Sumeriologists. And these are the gods who decree the fates on Earth, although some have tried to follow Sitchin's translation concerning them as those who came to Earth from heaven. But Ansar and Kisar are basically relayed as the father and mother of the Anunnaki pantheon, the highest deities, Anu, and so forth. But really, when we translate their names, Ansar, Kishar, specifically the Sar, meaning the cycle or round of, Ansar being the heavenly zone, and Kishar being the earthly zone, which respectively would be the spiritual and material, the physical and the metaphysical, and combined being essentially all of existence, all of creation, all of the cosmos and the universe as one. So after the realms of heaven and earth had been clearly defined, the great separation or fracture of reality ensued. In fact, the ancient texts quite literally describe this as the heavens, or the eternal, all-encompassing space aspect, being moved away from the earth, the solidified, concentrated, condensed matter aspect. And this is generally followed by a reiteration. Ancient tablet writers seem to enjoy poetic redundancy, but a reiteration of earth being separated from heaven, as evident in, for example, in the Song of the Hoe, where Enlil, who will make the human seed of the land come forth from the earth, and not only did he hasten to separate heaven from earth and hasten to separate earth from heaven, and so it is customary for Sumerian tablet cycles to begin with the formation of creation, the genealogy of their pantheon, even if it did little to actually contribute to the actual context of the saga or the material that was being presented on the tablet. It's possible that this literary mechanism added credibility to the epic characters and places that set against a background reality of creation and, of course, the gods, these very abstract concepts to primitive minds. So the act may have been a result of devotion and respect, in addition to traditionally ascribing basically all of the wisdom, all of the knowledge, all of the writing that was set down was never actually from the writer's own minds. They were the hand which moved at the will of the gods, or inspired by the words of the gods. And so they may be attributed to a higher power. And we see this even, of course, in Judeo-Christian scriptures, which are treated as the word of God, even though they're written by men, and many of them actually stolen from the Babylonians. But that's another video. What we see is a repetition of this idea of the designation of separations between the supernal Trinity and the Anunnaki pantheon, the Anu, Enlil, and Enki, and the actual positions in the universe, whether it be the distant Heavenly Father position of Anu, or in the case of Enlil, being the one that is the intermediary between that distant point and the earthly realm. So many of these early tablet cycles include introductory lines that reinforce this basic understanding of Sumerian cosmogony and spirituality, because you have to understand the Sumerians themselves didn't actually observe a religious tradition or a religious systemology. This was adopted later in Babylon. So in Sumerian tradition, we see just a fundamental principle of cosmic understanding, cosmic law, and a general order that is unquestioned and with no other parallels. So when we look at the frequency of their appearance, as far as these lines carrying off heaven and Enlil carrying off earth, there's little doubt in the early Sumerian literature of the identity of at least two of the primary deities of the Sumerian tradition, being, of course, An, or Anu, and Enlil. And Enlil, quite literally, En being Lord, Lil being air, breath, sometimes also meaning lofty or great. He was a national god of ancient Sumer, just as Anu was a distant deity for the tradition. Enlil became essentially the chief Anunnaki god of ancient Sumer, previous to Babylon. And he was considered the head of the elder gods as the son of An, or Anu. The spiritual, mystical, supernal Trinity that appears in ancient Babylonian mythology and religion, in addition to traditions of Mesopotamian Neopaganism and other revivals today, is basically concludes with Enki, the brother of Enlil, both of them being fathered by Anu. And this Anunnaki genealogy, these records are kept by the post-Sumerian civilization, which emphasizes Enki and Enlil respectively as half-brothers. They both appear in Babylonian traditions and mythology, even though Marduk is actually observed as the supreme deity at that juncture. The kingship in heaven is never actually questioned. Kingship always is retained with Anu. Enlil, as the son of Antu, is the official spouse of Anu, even though Enki is actually the elder of the two. Enlil is the one that is considered the official heir of Anu. And this actually plays something of a part in the division of their lineage later on, and also the division of the humans that followed them and followed traditions in dedication of them later on. So the differing Anunnaki lineages, it plays a more significant role, not so much between Enlil and Enki, even though some people do like to emphasize the differentiation between the two, but it really plays a bigger role in Babylon and among the younger pantheon and the later dualistic interpretations. Because in the original formation of Sumerian civilization, Enlil and Enki are actually perfect complements to one another in the division of the material world. Enlil as the ruler of the air and the fire aspects, and leaving Enki the domains of the deep, and being like the water and the earth. So, as the original title even suggests, Enki means quite literally Lord of the earth, a combination of the words Lord and earth, Enki. And this is later identified in Babylonian and Bablo-Akkadian mythologies as in the epitaph Ea, which means house in the waters. And this is, of course, a direct reference to basically the capital, the Proto-Sumerian, the pre-Sumerian even, home, the original capital, the original station and headquarters of the Anunnaki, even prior to the flood, which at that point it was called Eridu, and at that point it was on the coast of the Persian Gulf. With the Persian Gulf shrinking, the ruins of Eridu are now actually quite far away from where the Persian Gulf is today. So, where Enlil is given a certain authority over the organization of space and the management of other deities in the pre-Babylonian tradition. Again, Enlil representing the intermediary energies between the earth and the distant heavens, Anu. Enki is given control over the more worldly matters on earth. And this actually makes him much more accessible to earthly traditions. It's considered not only as Marduk's father in Babylon, but Enki being the much more material and accessible of the deities, interested in the earths and the waters and the affairs of the people in ways that other lineages and other members of the Anunnaki pantheon did not seem to be as interested in.